Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vice President of User Experience Design, Research and Motion, Don Lindsay.
Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to BlackBerry Jam. I'm going to change gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about design. We're going to talk about the experience of BlackBerry 10. Torsten mentioned that at RIM, every day, the team is thinking about how to make life easier or less complex. How can we help BlackBerry users be more productive and be more efficient with their time? This is something that we describe as the BlackBerry DNA, and it's important to us. And we're never satisfied with the status quo. And through exploration, experimentation, prototyping, we're always looking for something new. We're always looking for a better way how we can do it. And we're really passionate about this stuff. Alec used the word I believe, and I believe that BlackBerry 10 embodies this passion. And with BlackBerry 10, we are aiming to transform the way people interact through touch on a mobile device. So I'd like to spend a few minutes describing just this one innovation of the multitude of innovations that are in BB10 in the area of touch that I think is part of this transformation. Torsten and Vivek demonstrated it to you this morning. We're calling it Peak. And I think Peak is important because with Peak, gone are the days of dealing with just one task at a time. Gone are the days of dealing with or being a victim of interruptions and distractions. And gone are the days of constantly going back to the home button. Peak changes all of that. We talked about flow, and Peak is important because Peak allows you to control that flow. But I thought it would be helpful if I gave you a little bit of the background, right? A little bit of the insight as to where did Peak come from? What's the history behind Peak? We know that in designing for a mobile device experience that it's all about screen real estate, and screen real estate is limited. In fact, screen real estate is precious. And at RIM, we believe that applications should own the entire screen. We believe that so strongly that we actually made it one of our core design principles in BlackBerry 10. And as a principle, it served to guide all the decisions around the experience. We believe that carving off or dedicating a piece of the screen to either system status at the top or a navigation bar at the bottom is in direct contradiction to this principle. But at the same time, we have to recognize that this information is important. Getting access to system status, getting access to notifications is important. So with Peak, what we strove to create was a solution that was effortless and natural. In fact, the metaphor that we used was that Peak should feel as natural as simply glancing at your watch to check the time. Something you don't really think about doing, but it's straightforward. It gives you the information you need. That was the metaphor that sort of set us on this path around Peak. Peak basically allows you to pull aside the information or task or application you're working on to look at this important information. In this case, we're looking at notifications. Then reverse the gesture to simply go back to what you were doing. And it's this reversal of the gesture which is key to what Peak is providing. So you can achieve this without missing a beat. It's effortless. And you never lose context, never lose state. And this is really important. You don't close applications. You don't task switch in and out of applications. You're just simply peeking at the other information that's important. And this concept of Peak keeps you in control and preserves what we call the flow. And this is core to what BlackBerry 10 is all about. So what I thought I would do is show you a couple of scenarios where we think Peak is changing the experience for the better, but by keeping you in control. So we'll just go through a couple of these. Start with a simple one. Vivek demoed a part of this, but I want to show you the whole end-to-end sequence. It's quite simply that today, how many times do you take your device out, wake it up by pressing a button simply to look at the time or to look at notifications that have come in? Push the button again to put it back into sleep or standby mode. It's a pretty common action. I don't know about you. I don't wear a watch. I do this a lot. So this involves fumbling around, finding the button and such, but what Peek has done is it allows us to simply start the gesture at the bottom of the screen and swiping up or waking the device up to present this screen. In this case, we have the lock screen. Here's the information I need, but again, reversing the gesture and drawing it back down puts the device right back into sleep and standby mode. One continuous gesture. And it just, frankly, when you start playing with it, it feels incredible. It feels like you are in complete control. And this is just an example of a quick peek. Let's look at another scenario. Let's say I'm in the middle of browsing. Sorry, I'm just watching my slides here. We need to advance. There you go. Thank you. Here I am in the browsing. I'm actually browsing to next year's BlackBerry World page. I'm looking at registration for next year. I'm getting a head start on all this. And that familiar BlackBerry LED starts flashing, right? To say that I've got a message that's come in. It's important to me, I want to deal with this. Today, I would have to leave the browser. I would have to either close the application, go back home, navigate to the Messages app, open it up, find the message that was new, or task switch to the Messages application, right? But in both cases, I have left the browser application to achieve that. What Peek allows me to do is simply, again, starting with the gesture at the bottom of the screen, pull out, browser window minimizes, pulls in my notifications. I can see the different types of messages that I've received. I can see that I've got a new email message that's come in. I see my system status at the top. I can see battery strength, Wi-Fi strength. And I could just simply decide, okay, well, you know, it was an email and I was expecting something else, so I could back out of this. But, and this is where the power is that I can now continue the gesture, dragging to the right to reveal BlackBerry Hub. And I can see the messages. I can see the different types of messages. I can see who they're from. I can see the subject line. And I can now make a decision. Right? Is it important that I go deal with that message? If it is important, I can simply release the gesture now, go into BlackBerry Hub and deal with it. Or, again, through the power of Peek, reverse the gesture back out and return to the browser. I never left it. I never quit the browser. I never closed it. I never task switched out of it. This is really important. And yet all of this was very simple, very natural to do. So let's look at one more. And here's a situation I think many of us will find ourselves in every day. Reading an email. It's a long email. I've gotten a good portion of the way through the email. Once again, that red LED starts flashing, right? Which is a cue that, oh, another message has come in. Let's say, for example, I was expecting something important. I really want to know who that's from. Today, I have to close that message, go back to the message list, scroll to the top, see the new message, decide whether or not I want to read it or address it. But to get back to where I was, I have to go find my old message, open it up, find the place I was in when I was reading. Right? I've lost my context. I've lost my state. But with Peek, I can simply pull the message aside to reveal the message, the BlackBerry Hub message list. I can see the new message that's come in. And once again, I make a decision. If I want to deal with the message, I can simply continue to navigate straight into the BlackBerry Hub. If it's not important, I can back out of the gesture, undoing the Peek, and return to the message exactly where I left it. I did not lose my place in that message. I did not have to go hunt and find that message. Peek has given me the power to prioritize information, to manage my interruptions and manage my distractions. So these are just three really simple scenarios. And we've adopted and we're using Peek throughout all of BlackBerry 10 experience. And we think that this is a very important aspect of what is expected of BlackBerry users in terms of managing their time, managing their productivity, being efficient. But I think we're just scratching the surface. In fact, I'm most excited about how you're going to use Peek, how you're going to come up with new and interesting ways to incorporate Peek in your applications. So, at the risk of making a really bad pun, I hope I have piqued your interest. Somebody wrote that for me last night. But enough so that there's a couple of sessions which I really want to recommend. We have sessions on design this week. We have sessions on flow. We have sessions on what's new in our native frameworks. And I think they're important to attend because you're not just going to learn about APIs and learn about new controls. You're going to learn about the why behind each of these. You're going to hear what our design principles are. You're going to hear the rationale behind the experience. And I think that's really important for you. It's important for you to hear because it's important for you to inform decisions you're going to make when creating your applications. So that's just a very simple overview of Peak and how we believe that we are revolutionizing and advancing the state of the art in terms of touch interaction on a mobile device. So have a great week, enjoy the sessions, and hopefully I'll see you on the floor. Thank you.